What We Do in the Shadows, Dracula's Romania, October 11th, 2024 rewrite, written by Briar A. Saronics, based on the film What We Do in the Shadows by Taika Waititi and Jameen Clement. Interior, mansion, night. Nandor is running through the halls of the mansion excited. Guys! The camera gets ahead of Nandor and makes it to the living room, and the living room is Nadja, Laszlo, Guillermo, Colin, and the guide. Guess what I got? No one except Guillermo seems to be interested. What is it, Master? I have gotten us all plane tickets to Romania. Parentheses, he is obviously proud of himself. Nadja and Laszlo let out a groan. Colin seems indifferent, while Guillermo and the guide seem intrigued. Quit your whining. I thought it'd be nice for us to explore our history and tour Dracula's castle. Also, the tickets are non-refundable. Fine, I guess we can go. Parentheses, she turns to Laszlo. Besides, I've always wanted to see where the Count laid, if you know what I mean. Nadja starts to play with Laszlo's shirt and makes a sexy purr. It was not in fact sexy. You make a good point, my darling. Parentheses, he turns to Nandor. Thank you for the tickets, me old boy. The guide walks up to Nandor. I just wanted to say it was very kind of you to get me a ticket. The camera pans to Nandor, who is making an uncomfortable face at the camera. You did get me a ticket, right? Interior, plain, night. We cut to Nandor, Guillermo, Nadja, Laszlo, and Colin sitting on seats in the middle of the flight. Above them is a cloud of black smoke implied to be the guide. The plane shakes from turbulence and the lights flicker in and out. The intro music begins to play at the end of the scene. Opening credits. We see images of our vampires throughout history. Coffins, fangs. The mediums they are depicted show a centuries-long passage of time. Medieval woodcuts, tapestries, oil paintings, encyclopedia photos of statues, cubist paintings, silent film footage, photos from the late 1800s, 1920s, 1960s, 1980s, VHS footage, digital photos from the early 2000s. Every few images, there's a quick pop-up of something frighteningly grotesque, less artistic or a cultural vampire depiction, and with more of a crime scene photo feel. This is all to the song You Are Dead by Norma Tanga. Exterior, castle path, night. The 6 housemates are walking the long path to Dracula's castle. They are accompanied by 2 male tour guides. On the walk, we pass a village and a glowing pop-up carnival. The carnival is decorated with horse motifs. We can now see the castle in close range, but it is obscured with fog. And here we've made it to the sexy castle of the night. Nadja seems pleased by this respectful comment of the vampire's sexual nature. You mean the whore castle of the night? From what I've seen in the movies, vampires are nothing but skanky whores. Nadja makes an offended gasp and looks at the camera. Laszlo stares at her for a moment and then back at the tour guides. Exterior, interview with Nandor, night. Why did you want to come here? Why did I want to come to Romania? Well, I thought it'd be good to see the dwelling of the most famous vampire who ever lived. See what being a vampire is really about. Maybe give some meaning to the whole eternal life thing. Exterior, interview with Guillermo, night. You know, I'm just really nervous and excited. I've always wanted to go to a real vampire castle, but I'm a descendant of Van Helsing after all. I mean, what if Dracula pops out of a coffin and smites me? Is Dracula even still alive? Or unalive, I guess. How much of that book was real? Exterior, castle path, night. The 8 travelers are almost at the castle now. The entire castle's in view. All that's left is to climb the hill. Parentheses nervously. How do we know this is just some tourist trap? Like, was Dracula even real? Isn't he just some character from a Bram Stoker novel? You've really never heard of Vlad the Impaler? Bram Stoker met him and based the book off him after they learned why he was called Vlad the Impaler. And why was he called Vlad the Impaler? The same reason he had 5 wives. Parentheses, Laszlo says this while making an inappropriate pegging gesture with his hands. I thought he only had 3 wives. Are you homophobic, Gizmo? He stole that Jonathan chap from his good lady wife Mina, took Renfield's hand too. What? No, I'm literally gay. Oh, dodging the question, are we? The conversation is cut short by the arrival at the castle doors. And we have now arrived at our destination. Welcome to Suckingham's Palace. Tour Guide 2 laughs at the joke. Nadja rolls her eyes. The doors are opened automatically and everyone but the guide walks in. Then the door slams shut with a loud bang once everyone except the guide is inside. Guys, hello? I'm still out here. The guide sighs and gives up. She turns into a cloud of black smoke and slips between the cracks in the door. Interior, interview with Nandor, night. This castle is not what I thought. Interior, castle, night. We see various scenes of the tour group looking at different parts of the castle. Voiceover. So far it has all been about someone named Queen Mari and her husband King Ferdinand. Interior, interview with Nandor, night. Is that the little guy from Shrek? Colin walks past the camera. No, that was Lord Farquaad, or as I like to call him, Lord Fartquad. Colin walks out of frame while chuckling to himself a bit. Nandor looks at the camera with a disgusted expression. He has been visibly drained by this exchange. Interior, castle, night. Sorry, when are we getting to the good stuff? I thought Dracula's castle would be about Dracula. Ah, well, if you're bored, we can move on to the bloodsuckers. Wish a vampire would suck something of mine, if you know what I mean. Oh, you're bloody fucking sure something will let suck tonight. Now, if you'll follow me this way, you'll see a secret passage. These stairs lead to the 3rd floor of the castle. Fun fact, these are the very stairs where Dracula bashed Renfield's head in. Guillermo looks at the camera, terrified. They all start descending the stairs. The more they go down, the more antsy Guillermo becomes. Wow, it's really hot down here, isn't it? Guillermo's trying to fan himself with his shirt. What are you talking about? It's a freezing basement. They make it to a giant room filled with medieval torture devices. Chains are littered across the walls and floor. This room here is Dracula himself's dungeon. The guy had a knack for playing with his food, very 50 Shades of Grey style. He also liked to keep vampire hunters here. I believe he was specifically partial to the breaking wheel. Tour Guide 1 walks over to the breaking wheel. He places a lifelike mannequin that looks scarily like Guillermo onto the device and turns it on. It makes a grotesque sound of bones breaking and organs squishing. Guillermo holds his hand up to his mouth, wincing. Now, who wants to see the courtyard? Exterior, courtyard, night. The tour groups are semi-split up, looking at some things around the courtyard. Tour Guide 2 tries to grab their attention. He's standing at a well in the courtyard. You guys will want to check this out. This well is said to lead to an underground maze. Dracula had it built as a way to watch humans like mice, but instead of cheese at the end of the maze, the promise was eternal life. Now this sounds more like it. You guys want to go in? Terry, you know we aren't allowed to do that. Oh, lighten up, man. Oh, you better bet we are going. Okay, but we better hurry. We have one more tour group in 30 minutes. Laszlo purposely bumps into Tour Guide 2 on the way to the well and starts his descent. Everyone but Guillermo and Nandor follow down. Nandor starts the climb down the ladder, but stops and looks back up at a nervous Guillermo. Are you alright, Guillermo? Yes, I'm fine, Master. Just a bit nervous with all the vampire hunter talk. Not a big deal. Do you want to leave? What? No, this means so much to you, and you know, it's interesting to say the least. Nandor can see that Guillermo is lying. He's known him long enough. I've seen enough of this place. Climbing down into a dingy well sounds unpleasant. Come on, we are going. Nandor climbs out of the well and starts to walk to the exit. Master, come on, you don't have to do that. Now, Guillermo, let's go. Guillermo follows. On the way here, I saw a fun little carnival decorated with horses. I want to go check it out. Guillermo smiles and seems pleased he didn't completely ruin his master's night. Interior, well, night. We see the group wandering the maze. There isn't anything interesting, just stone walls winding seemingly forever. It's dusty and moldy like no one has been down here in decades. Ha, you know this is exactly how I picture a female vampire's penis flytrap. Tour Guide 1 harshly nudges Tour Guide 2 with his elbow. What, because they're dead? Yeah, I bet they start to rot eventually. That's probably why they kill all the men they do. Nadja looks offended and like she's about to confront them. Before she can, Laszlo speeds over and rips Tour Guide 1's head clean off. Before Tour Guide 2 can react, Laszlo hits his head to the wall, rendering him unconscious. His body falls to the floor. Saved you one. Oh, Laszlo. Nadja goes to Laszlo and starts making out with him. We then switch angles to Colin and the guide. Nadja and Laszlo can still be seen in the background. Nadja starts to drink the blood of Tour Guide 2. I consider myself quite the history buff. I could easily give a tour of this place. Interior, interview with Colin, night. A tour of historical landmarks can be quite the feast, especially deceiving ones like this place. I mean, Dracula who? Interior, well, night. I'll need a tour guide buddy, someone to play banter off of. Parentheses, Colin turns around to face Nadja and Laszlo. Nadja, Laszlo, any takers? Sorry, Colin, Laszlo and I are going out for a night on the town. I saw a very fancy-looking gentleman's club on the way here. The couple turn into bats and fly the way they came in. Parentheses, he turns back to the guide. I guess you'll do. The guide smiles, just happy to be included. Exterior, carnival, night. Nandor and Guillermo are walking down the booths at a brightly lit carnival. We see the scene Guillermo was describing. VO. I've been having a very nice time with Master. He challenged me to a ring toss game, which I lost because he cheated with levitation, but then he cashed his prize and gave me a llama plushie. Nandor hands Guillermo a plushie. The plushie is of the supply llama from Fortnite. Like the piñatas your ancestors farmed. Nandor turns around before Guillermo can thank him. He points to a ride. The ride is littered with horse decorations. The ride has a giant sign at the top that says Tunnel of Love. Nandor does not see the sign, as it features no horses. We must go on that next. Nandor takes Guillermo by the arm and drags him along. Exterior, castle entrance, night. Colin and the guide are welcoming their new tour group of 6 people at the doors of the castle. Colin and the guide have stolen the outfits of the previous tour guides. Welcome, travelers, to Dracula's castle. Colin walks over to 2 of the attendees of the tour group. He stands in the middle of them and puts an arm on each of their shoulders, like they've been best friends for years. Both attendees look uncomfortable, but are faking kindness. You know, Dracula was actually based on Bram Stoker's boss. He was the business manager for Henry Irving. I feel like we all know a Henry Dracula in our lives, huh? My boss actually stopped letting us take leave on Fridays. He said we need to be around if anything freaky started to happen. Also, that Fridays on the 13th make a lot of money. You know, Friday the 13th actually has many origins. The number 13 comes after the number completion, 12. Loki also crashed a party, making the guest count 13. The 2 attendees start to look physically tired. In the middle of Colin's rants, we go back to the guide. She is struggling to get the doors open. The remaining 4 attendees with her look somehow more drained than the 2 with Colin. Eventually, the doors open. Ah, there we go, finally. We pan back to Colin as the doors are opening. Judas was also the J-Man's 13th follower, which wraps back around to Dracula's sexual nature. Much like Judas, both men were implied to be gay. The attendees with Colin see the doors are finally opening, much to their happiness. They walk away from Colin and up to the doors. They are blocked from going in from the guide, who is now explaining history for far longer than she needs to. Now, this castle was actually built in 1377, and this place is old. We must respect the history. The guide pulls out a comically large paper scroll. Rule 1. Do not lick the walls. Yes, some parts may look very appetizing, but one lick can cause the whole building to crumble. Don't be selfish. Rule 2. The toilets do not function properly, so please The guide is cut off from her speech as the 2 attendees Colin was talking to earlier finally collapse to the ground unconscious. Everyone looks a little more tired too. Colin's eyes glow blue. I think those 2 wanted to lick the walls. Interior, club, night. We enter a rave atmosphere club that is packed full of people. The neon lights make it hard to see, and it is hard to hear Nadja and Laszlo over the music, but it is doable when they yell. I can barely hear you, my darling. Why don't we go over yonder? Laszlo points to a quieter seating area where we see 2 female vampires flirting with each other. What? I said, why don't we go over there? Parentheses, he points to the same spot again. Nadja grabs Laszlo by the arm and speeds off to the area he was pointing. She turns to him. Now, what were you saying, darling? Just that we should go to this quieter area, but I see that you can read my mind. You know I can. That quite literally is a power of mine. You are vampires? Well, who's asking? I am Carmilla Karnstein, and this is my wife, Laura Karnstein. Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Wait, the Carmilla Karnstein? The very Mirkla von Karnstein? Yes, well, just Carmilla will do. It is the name I introduced myself to my sweet beloved with. Now that's all well and good, but who are you exactly? Laszlo, how do you not know of the great Countess Carmilla? Oh, is she the one from that vampire lesbian porno? Laszlo turns to Laura. I love your work. Laura looks very uncomfortable. Carmilla laughs. Laszlo! No, that is okay. Our story was greatly overshadowed by Dracula. Carmilla and I met when I was very young. She even marked me, see? Laura grabs the collar of her dress and pulls it down a bit, too far. You can see the beginning of her boob. You can also see the scar from a vampire bite. I have something similar. She takes off her choker, revealing a scarred line going around her entire neck. This is from Laura's family. They did not approve of our union. 2 women getting married was more morally corrupt to them than all the murders I committed, so after her father's failed beheading, I taught him how it was done. She killed him and then he proposed to me with a ring soaked in his blood. It was very romantic. Laura shows Nadja and Laszlo her ring while saying that. Carmilla then starts to play with Nadja's necklace. Say, would you be open to a little party at our place? We love your vibe. Parentheses, she's hinting at a fling. Oh, what do you say, Laszlo? Sex with the Countess of Styria? Oh, sorry for the confusion, but he's not invited. I only sleep and drink from women. That's all right, my darling. Go and have your fun. Just be ready to give me a very realistic retelling. Parentheses, he laughs. Oh, thank you, Laszlo. You better bet I will. I think I have a dress just like little Laura here. Nadja plays with Laszlo's hair. Laura looks very disgusted, but Nadja can't see her. Before Nadja turns around back to the lesbians, Carmilla hits Laura on the arm to tell her to act normal. Laura starts to smile again. Away we go, then. The 3 girls turn into bats, leaving Laszlo in the club. Laszlo spots a handsome man doing cocaine at a table. Well, don't mind if I do. He walks over to the man as the scene ends. Exterior, interview with Guillermo, night. Yes, I knew it said Tunnel of Love at the entrance, but Master seems so happy. I just didn't want to ruin his excitement. He really loves horses. Parentheses, he does an awkward fake laugh at the camera. Exterior, interior, ride, night. We see Guillermo and Nandor get on the ride. Guillermo gets on first, Nandor follows. Guillermo holds out his hand to help Nandor ground himself so he doesn't fall off the boat. He swats Guillermo's hand away. He then trips and falls right into a seated position next to Guillermo, almost sitting on Guillermo, in fact. They share an awkward glance and smile as Nandor scoots away. The ride takes off, very slowly. Interior, castle, night. Colin is seen on the screen chatting up two more attendees. The guide is close by talking with the other two remaining attendees. This castle was never actually owned by Vlad the Impaler. No, it was owned by Queen Marie, wife of King Ferdinand. Colin overhears and raises his voice so the guide's group can hear him. King Ferdinand. Haha, well, no, that was not his name. Parentheses, she continues her history lecture. Queen Marie died in 1937, a decade after she impaled her husband with one of his own spears. On the anniversary of his death, one of the king's fanatics impaled her with the very same spear right into the liver. He was trying to stab her in the intestines as she had done to her husband, but fanatics aren't known for their smarts now, are they? One of the attendees the guide was talking to collapses. Colin's eyes glow blue once again. Parentheses, Colin is surprised and almost jealous. Wow, they're really dropping like flies over there, huh? Honestly, I don't know why. Why even come to a museum if you don't want to learn history? Sheesh. She walks off past Colin. The camera stays on Colin, who looks like he's plotting something. Interior, motel room, night. The girls are in a very dingy motel room. It was clearly very cheap. There are two twin beds that are pulled in next to each other to form one big bed. The bed frame is made of wood. There are windows by the door. The blinds have huge gaps in them. Well, I was expecting to be taken back to your castle, but, this works. Oh, we only let people we trust into our castle. We just met. Surely you understand. That makes perfect sense. Parentheses, she's a bit hurt. Shall we get started? Yes, let's. Nadja begins to untie the back of her dress. No, silly, not yet. First we must sing the ritual song. The ritual song? Carmilla starts a long chant. It sounds exactly like Nadja's singing, but Nadja doesn't see the resemblance. She hates it. Laura joins in with a pretty voice that is still off-key. The girls circle around Nadja. Nadja looks at the camera, very confused. Interior, ride, night. Guillermo and Nandor are on the ride as far away from each other as they can be. There is a cheesy love song playing in the background. In the same cadence as It's a Small World, animatronic dolls that also resemble the It's a Small World animatronics are gliding around on obvious tracks. Many of the dolls are couples. There are many flying Cupid-esque ones in the air, bobbing up and down. The Cupids have bow and arrows. The arrows are made of wood. In the background, we can see the dolls that look like Nadja and Laszlo together. We also see ones of Nandor and Guillermo together, reenacting the scene from the pilot where Nandor gives Guillermo his anniversary gift. The ride comes to a stop. A loud voice interrupts the music on the speaker. Due to technical difficulties, the ride has come to a halt. Please remain seated. The ride will resume shortly. The music resumes. Nandor and Guillermo sit in silence for a few moments before Nandor gets up. Where are you going, Master? They said remain seated. Despite his warning, Guillermo gets up and follows Nandor out of the boat and onto the scenery of the ride. They stop to have a conversation right in front of a painted wooden target. The bullseye is clearly worn from repeated hits. Back to the fucking castle. I should be out there learning our history instead of being on this stupid ride. It isn't even about horses. Why do you care about your history so much? Why do you need to learn how to copy Dracula? Just be yourself. Myself? I've done nothing for the past 650 years. After I left Alcalandar, I stopped pillaging. I lost all 37 of my wives. There is no meaning to this whole eternal life thing. You don't need to copy some long-dead vampire to find meaning. You need to find your own meaning. And you already have one. Parentheses, he is now really confused. I do? Yes, Nadja, Laszlo, Colin, the guide, and... Before he can finish, one of the Cupids shoots a wooden arrow at the target, but Nandor is standing in its flight path. Guillermo instinctively rushes to Nandor and catches the arrow in his hands mere inches away from Nandor's face. And me. Nandor looks startled from the arrow, but then looks at Guillermo. Yes, perhaps you are right, Guillermo. Thank you, by the way, for the save, I mean. Of course, Master. I'm here to protect you. Well, I would have gotten it anyway. You were just faster. No. There's a loud ringing bell. The ride resumes motion. Nandor walks over back to their boat. It is slow enough for them to easily catch. You coming? Yes, Master, of course. Guillermo rushes to Nandor. Nandor motions for Guillermo to get on first. Guillermo sits and offers his hand to help Nandor. Nandor takes his hand this time. He gets in the boat and willingly sits a bit closer to Guillermo this time around. Interior, castle, dungeon, night. Colin and the guide are touring as one now. They have all three remaining attendees listening to their bickering. It's funny they have this dungeon down here as Queen Marie was known for her charities. They built this part of the castle to trick tourists into thinking Dracula actually lived here. No, this dungeon is here because Queen Marie was a known vicious vampire. She was a huge fan of Vlad the Impaler. No, I'm pretty sure she was just a glorified housewife. Housewife? She was a renowned warrior. She conquered 3 whole kingdoms. Well, if she had conquered 4, maybe she'd have been taken more seriously. The remaining 3 are watching the fight happen, eyes darting back and forth. Then all 3 fall to the floor unconscious. Colin's eyes glow blue. He appears satisfied. Too satisfied. Just for the record, I know Queen Marie was a known vampire. I read her book, If I Dideth It. Oh, you rascal. We seemed to make a pretty good draining team, didn't we? How about we do this again sometime? No. Colin leaves. The guide pauses for a moment. She accepts the rejection and walks off. Interior, exterior, motel room, night. Now we may begin the real festivities. Carmilla takes off her top. She's wearing a bra and a skirt now. Carmilla, are we really going to do this on camera? Laura points to the camera, then kindly waves at the cameraman and/or the audience. Oh, it's fine. They'll just blur it or cut it. They have at least 5,000 clips of Laszlo and I fucking his bats. Only 5,000? Fine, if you say so. Laura half undresses and is now in a skirt and bra as well. Nadja goes to untie the back of her dress, but pauses. She is staring at Laura's breast. Where is your scar? Laura looks down, panicked. Oh, you know, vampires can heal. Vampires can only heal a wound they received after being turned. Nadja rips the choker off Carmilla's neck. Her scar is completely gone. You really aren't Carmilla, are you? My name is Susan. Give me that fucking necklace. And here I thought you were respectable whores. Carmilla's face twists into that of a demon and lunges for Nadja. Nadja grabs the end of the bedpost and breaks it in 2. She uses the wood pieces in her hand as a stake and stabs Carmilla in the heart. Carmilla crumbles to dust. The camera pans to Laura as she shrieks. Nadja walks up to Laura, still holding the stake. Boop! Nadja taps the stake into Laura's heart. She crumbles to dust, her ring making a loud clunk on the floor. Nadja picks it up the ring and smiles. She goes outside and sees Laszlo standing in front of the blinds, watching. What are you doing, Laszlo? Definitely not watching a lesbian porno. Ugh, Laszlo. Nadja's tone and body language shifts and is less disgusted. She gets down on one knee and holds the ring up to Laszlo as if she was proposing. Oh, that is sweet of you, my darling, but we are already married. Sean and Charmaine did that dumb ceremony where they renewed their vows. That seemed needed after those 2 spit in the face of a sacred vampire union. Nadja makes spitting noises and motions towards the ground. I don't recall us having any vows, just sex for an entire week. Why do you think I'm on my knees, Laszlo? Ah, I see. The couple both turn to bats while keeping those same positions. A hand from behind the camera covers the lens, blocking the view. Nope, I'm done. So done. Interior, ride, night. Guillermo and Nandor are still semi-close to each other on the ride. A suggestive voice is heard through the speakers. It's time for prom photos. Make sure to give that special someone you came with a big kiss. Nandor and Guillermo look at each other flustered. Nandor lifts his arm up and pats Guillermo on the head. The flash goes off and we end on a freeze frame that would be the same as the photo taken. Credits. Interior, ride, night. The ride is unloading at the dock. We are directly looking straight ahead at Guillermo and Nandor's boat. They get off the boat and leave. Their boat floats by. We remain at the same camera angle to see the boat that was behind Nandor and Guillermo. Inside that boat is Nadja and Laszlo having sex. Their activities are mostly concealed by the boat's structure. End.